Yo, this is Teresa Weatherspoon, better known as Teaspoon, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe, you can.
This is Real Fans, Real Talk. Real fans, real talk. We as real as you thought. Real fans.
What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans, Real Talk. We going up on a Tuesday. I know y'all used to us being on a Monday night, but you know sometimes things got to get shifted around. You know, Eric and myself, we be working sometimes, so sometimes we got to switch things around. But we don't ever want to miss an opportunity to come and connect with the family. So we're gonna get into this sports talk. We got some things going on right now. Obviously, it's the WNBA Finals in pool. Don't worry, if Eric didn't catch it, I caught it. So we still gonna talk about it when we get to that time, because I've seen the comments out there. Shout out to Pooh. Playoff baseball is going on right now. Of course, we in the in the heart of the NFL season, and some boxing coming up too that we're gonna talk about. Mm-hmm. Actually, and one other thing, Eric, we gotta talk about too. I'm gonna say this one for the end of the show, but there's a versus battle that I sent you that's coming up. We're gonna get into that in a little later too. But let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in 2 Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? Yeah, like you said, we got WNBA might be ended tonight, right? Game 3's tonight. Major League Baseball playoffs. Let's just hope your boys show up tonight. We had a great week 5. And I want to say this to the supporters, man. Shout out to the supporters, always rocking with us. Will Gordon, I see you in the comment section, my brother. We live again tomorrow night, Trip. You already know. You know, we moved the show because we got a call from Braun and his people talking about an announcement today. And then we found out it's an ad. We thought, what's up, man? Clutch, y'all lied to us, man. Y'all told us, yo, wait, Tuesday we dropping some news. So we moved the show thinking it was some news dropping, man. I don't know, man. Trip, you gonna have to holler at your boy, holler at your peoples over there.
I'm gonna talk to him. Shout out to Imani, because she hit me up about it earlier. When I told her we was gonna be rocking out on Tuesday today. But yeah, that was funny. I saw the commercial. I mean, listen, as a person who has in the past and still is a supporter of a good glass of Hennessy every once in a while, okay, drink responsibly.
Absolutely.
I don't have a problem with the Hennessy VSOP. You know, plus, you know, that's another check in the bank account right there. So I'm not mad at that. But it was funny though, because LeBron definitely had the whole world waiting for some BS announcement. But it's LeBron James. What are you gonna do, man? You gotta.
I just feel bad for the fans. Because I don't know if you saw, ticket prices took a drastic increase at every arena because everybody thought, oh, this is the Fair World Tour. I think in Utah, in one case, they said it went from the cheapest ticket being $55 to being $500. Ticket prices changed, and now, you know, this comes out.
The money's spent now. Oh, well,
right.
y'all jumped the gun. Man, I would love to get to a game in LeBron's last season. You know, being at Wade's last game at the Barclays was definitely an epic night where it was a surprise because nobody knew that was going to be the case and that was going to be Wade's last night. And then we wound up being able to go to that game, and that was such an experience, man, being there. And having what is it, the banana boat trio, Melo, CP in the building, like everybody was there to support Wade. So I know when it's Braun time, it's about to be crazy. So I'm not even surprised if tickets jumped up to 500 in Utah.
Yeah,
I'm also not surprised that the tickets is dropping in Baltimore right now. It's not.
We'll be sitting on the 50-yard line real soon.
Yeah, listen, bro, because you know, here's the thing. Eric and I, we was trying to do the Ravens Rams game, but then it was like, yo, y'all getting y'all butts kicked, and these tickets is crazy high right now. Then I got a message today saying that they got tickets for $55 to the game, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of almost still wanted to go, but Lamar's hurt, so it's like if Lamar ain't playing, I feel like even though I want to support the Ravens, but I want to see Lamar play when I go to a Ravens game. You know what I mean? So it was just like if I was in DC in that area already and the tickets was 55, I'd be like, you know what? All right, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? But to go all the way down, and we got half our roster out right now, and no Lamar Jackson, and we getting out butts kicked every week is just like, nah.
Yeah, man. So, just to give people the quick backstory, we have been putting together this weekend to go to the Lions game. I mean, to the Rams game. We had talked about trying to go to that Lions game before, but it was so early in the season we couldn't make it happen quickly enough. And we actually had a group of people who we were going to go this weekend upcoming. And then when Lamar gets hurt, a week and a half ago, everybody kind of was like, all right, well, let's wait and see. And then Trip, you and I spoke, and we were like, well, let's see how they come out of this week before we make any decisions. And then they get embarrassed this week by the Texans, and now at 1-4 is like with Lamar still out, with a bunch of defensive injuries. Mm-hmm. I think we'll probably wait a little longer. Maybe we might just have to wait and see, what it's looking like after the next couple of weeks if we decide to go see the Ravens. But we'll see.
At this point, we better off driving to Indianapolis. Ain't going to see the
Hey now.
I knew you wasn't gonna have a problem with that one.
No. We take that road trip.
Shout out to Kyrie Thompson. He says, how much trouble should Harbaugh be in right now? All right, so here's the thing with Harbaugh, right? Because I do feel like Harbaugh should be on the hot seat right now, but the problem is, which is something I don't want to happen, because I do, Harbaugh's and I got a lot of love for Harbaugh. You know what I'm saying? He definitely took us to the promised land. I got a lot of respect for him, but he's also been there a long time, and sometimes you need change. You know what I mean? So at some point you gotta change things up. So I would like to see that, but again, back to the point. The problem is I don't want this to be a situation where it's like, well, we got 6 Pro Bowlers on the defensive side of the football that are out. Lamar's out. I don't want it to be a situation where it's like, all right, well, we got to give him another year to show and prove because all these guys was out. You know what I mean? When the reality is, y'all been getting y'all butts kicked. Poor start the last 2 seasons. We haven't made it, back to a Super Bowl. I will give, Lamar 2-time MVP. Realistically, should be a 3-time MVP, and that is would be under Coach Harbaugh. But again, sometimes it's just time for a change.
Harbaugh's job is safe because, like you mentioned, he's going to get somewhat of a pass, the injuries, but he is going to be on a very hot seat after the season. Coming into the season, it was a do-or-die year, I think, for the Ravens. It was a show-and-prove year. We've talked about the playoff shortcomings, losing in an AFC Championship game, losing last year to Buffalo, the times they've been the number 1 seed and not come out of the AFC. So there was a lot of pressure. There was going to be a heavy spotlight in Baltimore. But the injuries started very early. Cal Van Noy, Matabike, Zaire Alexander didn't play the first 4 weeks of the season. Now Marlon Humphrey's out. Obviously Lamar, the O-line. So there was a lot going on with this team injury-wise that I think is going to kind of give him a little bit of a pass this year, but it's going to put him on a hot seat for next year. And I think next year will be a do-or-die year for Harbaugh in Baltimore.
I agree. Unless you could somehow turn this thing around this season and y'all make a hell of a playoff run, it's going to get real tough for the Ravens to continue justifying having Harbaugh mm-hmm. as the head coach. And again, I say that respectfully because this is a gentleman that has brought championship, that trophy to the Ravens in the past. And I believe he is a hell of a coach. But again, it's just sometimes, listen, Belichick ain't in New England. I don't know if anybody ever felt like you would see a day when we don't see Belichick coaching in New England. But right. It's a new day. Every things change. You gotta go through those cycles. So we'll see how it goes. Ron says Patriots and Stephon Diggs pays off and return to Buffalo. Shout out to Stephon Diggs. That boy went off in that game, and I
Oh yeah.
I was playing against him in fantasy football this week, and he kicked my butt. So I know how much he went off in that game. He wanted that. He's been playing good the last couple of weeks. I think it's back-to-back 100-yard receiving games for him. But this was, I'm sure, one that he had on the bulletin board, ready to go in. It's already gonna be a big thing because it's a divisional game. And but they went out there. Shout out to everybody. Drake May, Stevenson had a really good big game with them 2 touchdowns. But they wanted to make a statement with this one. New England probably should have had an even better record at this point in the season. But listen, this is a very big statement win, a divisional win for New England, which later on down the road could come into effect. So shout out to Stephon Diggs.
Shout out to Stephon Diggs. He showed up. This is what you expect when you go get a veteran receiver like Stephon Diggs for a young quarterback. And we probably shouldn't be too surprised. He did the same thing for Josh Allen's career early on when he went to Buffalo. Mm-hmm. But for the Patriots, I think this is a statement win. This Patriots team is pretty good. They shouldn't have lost to the Raiders opening day. I don't think they should have lost to Pittsburgh. They turned the ball over 4 times in that game. But if you look at them overall, sound defensively, Christian Gonzalez missed the first 3 games of the year. Since he's come back, that defense is elevated. Milton Williams, who was their big free agent pickup on the defensive line, has played really well. And they're doing it in spite of Ramondre Stevenson for most of his career was pretty reliable. And then this year he's had some trouble with fumbles. He didn't happen again Sunday night. But Mike Vrabel is making a difference. This is a team that won 4 games last year. And really the only 2 significant changes on their team was adding Stephon Diggs, getting Milton Williams from the Eagles, the defensive tackle, and then the 2 young guys that they drafted, the left tackle, Will Campbell, the running back, Travion Henderson. Other than that, this is pretty much the same team from last year. And so Mike Vrabel's already got this team on the cusp of winning just as many games they won last year. And as you can see, they're competitive. The Buffalo Bills, who were not only undefeated coming into this weekend, the Buffalo Bills were looked at as the favorites to come out of the AFC right now. The Patriots went toe-to-toe with them and handled it. And one of the things that stuck out the most in this game for me, Trip, we always talk about getting the true number 1 receiver. We talked about it for years with Lamar. We talked about the benefit that Josh Allen had by having Stephon Diggs. In this game, Khalil Shakur was targeted 9 times by the Buffalo Bills. He's their number 1 receiver. He only had 45 yards. On the flip side, we just saw Stephon Diggs go for 10 catches over 100 yards. That's the difference of having a number 1 true receiver can make for you. Because in crunch time, when I need that first down, when I need to complete a pass, I've got a guy I can trust. And the New England Patriots have that right now. The Buffalo Bills do not. So I think it's a significant win for the Patriots.
I agree. Let me go to this one. Jaden Daniels returns and leads the Commanders. They needed him because this is a team that we spoke about as rivaling the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, or one of the teams that we spoke about, and he's their leader. So They definitely need him out there. I'd like to acknowledge the fact that he again has been spotted with Juju, which I really like. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what they if they got something going on. I ain't trying to speculate or spread no rumors, but ain't nothing wrong with a little young black love. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about it.
Absolutely, she was at the game. They got a little handshake. You saw that after the game, and his mom was there too. So it seems like everything's cool. Everybody's on the same page right now. Jaden Daniels, though, this is an impressive win for the Commanders, and me and Will Gordon were texting. I had picked the Commanders prior to on the Wednesday show. For the Commanders to go in, Jaden Daniels coming off missing the last 2 weeks. They're down to their 3rd string running back, who played really well. They have a lot of offensive line issues, but more importantly, they didn't have their number 1 weapon on offense, Terry McLaurin, who was out again for the 2nd straight week. And for the Commanders to go in there, they were down 10-0 and then settle in. Their defense was really good in this game. The offense made the plays they needed to make. This was a very impressive win, I think, for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. This is one of those defining moment wins where you say, all right, we know what direction we're headed right now. And I like that for the Commanders. I thought they proved me wrong. They proved a lot of people wrong. For the Chargers, though, I'm a little concerned for the Chargers. They're 3-2. We talked a lot about them after the 3-0 start, winning all their divisional games. But for them to go in and really struggle against the Giants the way they did last week, and then struggle again this week to protect Justin Herbert, that's a major issue. Their young running back, Hampton, is going to be out for the next 4 weeks. He's on injured reserve right now. That offense does not look good. Early on, we kind of relied on it. Not we, but the Chargers relied on that defense. And now that defense got exposed the last 2 weeks too. So I think the Chargers are in some trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not gonna go too much in depth on it because I know we're gonna talk about it tomorrow with so I ain't gonna go too crazy with it. But yeah, they're gonna have to change some things up. That injury, I think, could cost them in the next couple of weeks. And if between that and them not showing up that offensive line, because I don't know what happened, because they were playing, pretty good, and then it's like, I don't know, the Giants come in and get the win, and then now everything go out the window after that, and now you just lost back-to-back weeks. Y'all supposed to be winning the division. Y'all got the opportunity with the Chiefs struggling to start the season. It's supposed to be y'all year where you like, all right, these guys is, we know they did, the defending AFC, champs and whatnot, but they starting off slow. We starting off hot. Now y'all about to let the Chiefs get right back into this thing because y'all still got to play. You know what I'm saying too. So y'all better get it together, man.
Yeah.
And ladies, I see y'all in the comments. We're gonna talk about Aisha Curry later on too.
We gotta get to that. We gotta get to that.
Word. All right, let me see. All right, shout out to Tito. He says Imari drops the ball at the goal line and erases a 72-yard touchdown. Well, that's embarrassing. Wouldn't have been. I'll say that. That's gotta suck. Especially on the tickets, that definitely sucks on them parlays. You definitely messed up a few tickets. So I will say that. I don't, because I feel like it's happening more now. I've seen this now happen again and again. What the heck is going on? Like, listen, run through that line. Don't even play around. Like, don't when you hit the goalpost, then drop the football. Other than that, because once you hit the goalpost, it's all good. You can run out of the bounds from the back of the end zone. It's all good. I mean, at this point, it's just like it's unacceptable, bro. That's really all I can say is unacceptable.
It was a beautiful 72-yard run, and he literally drops the ball right at the goal line. For the Cardinals, this is probably one of the most embarrassing losses the team could have. True. Not only does he drop the ball at the goal line, and at that point they were getting ready to go up, I believe 28-6, because they were up 21-6. But then they have one of the goofiest touchdowns you could ever give up. Cam Ward throws an interception. The intercepting player starts to run, fumbles the ball. Now, mind you, he fumbles the ball at the 10-yard line. Then another Cardinal goes to pick it up. He kicks it into the end zone, which then leads to Tyler Lockett falling on the ball, and somehow it turns into a touchdown for the Titans. So you're talking about a massive 14-point swing from dropping a potential touchdown on one end and then giving up a touchdown on another, which was supposed to be an interception, all for them to end up losing on a last-second field goal. It is one of the most embarrassing losses you got. The Arizona Cardinals. If you had the Cardinals on the ticket yesterday, you're sick. Today might be one of the days where you say, man, I think I'm done with gambling. Because yesterday would have just been sick.
There's nothing else need to be said. Do better. That's it. And I pick y'all. So now y'all messed up for when we go through the standings for tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a game that should have been a W, but you know, it is what it is.
Yep.
Shout out to Tito. Tito says Drake May breaks out against the Bills. It's basically what Eric said earlier. He's has the benefit now of having a legitimate number one wide receiver and Stephon Diggs, who is now starting to heat back up. Because remember, he's been injury ridden the last season and a half. So now he's starting to get into a groove. And what that means is for a young quarterback like Drake May, you have the luxury after being in the league, a couple of years, that Josh Allen had after being in the league a couple of years. You get Stephon Diggs. Even though he's a little bit older, he's not that Stephon Diggs, but he's still, I could put up 125, 150 yards on you, no problem, on any given Sunday, Stephon Diggs. And that's what Drake May is experiencing. And I think it's going to do a lot for him moving forward, and for the Patriots to have those guys if they can stay healthy.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. I mean, Stephon Diggs is still one of the best route runners in the game, though he may not be the explosive receiver that he once was. Just the IQ and the ability to get open, as you see, he's not beating you down the field. He's beating you with footwork and route running, and that's a massive benefit. And when you have a guy like Stephon Diggs, it kind of makes everybody else fall in line in terms of, who are your options, right? Stephon Diggs, your number one receiver, but now that elevates Hunter Henry as your tight end. It creates opportunities for him. It creates opportunities in the running game now because you have that receiver that guys have to respect. So I like it for the Patriots, for Drake May. And like I said, it might have been his coming out party for everyone to see the talent now. He went toe-to-toe with Josh Allen. The numbers were very comparable. He can run, he can throw, and they had the drives when they needed to get the drives. And that's a big win on the road going into Buffalo on a Monday night to win a game. That's an important win.
Especially when you come down to the end of that season,
yep,
and the wins and losses, and we start checking. It's like, wait a minute, them tiebreakers count.
Yep.
You better remember that. All right, let me see what's going on here. Okay, let me go to Freckles Johnson. Shout out to Freckles. Baker 379 yards, 2 touchdowns. Donald 341 yards, 4 touchdowns, interception. Are both of them elite QBs? I can't put the elite QB stamp on them right now. I mean, I know, I can't put on them right now. These because again, we're talking about two guys that weren't in the top 5. I don't even think was Darnold in the top 10 at the beginning of the season?
No, he definitely wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, we're talking about guys that's not even in the top 10, and that's no disrespect because I think they're having a great season, but we just can't boost everybody up into the elite quarterback, standards. Like, at what point does it, like, where do we cut the line at? Everybody's not elite. You can be really good, you can be great, but everybody's not elite. I think there's probably 4 or 5 truly elite quarterbacks in the league right now, and then everybody else is really good, feasible. Then you got the guys that's below average, and guys that probably shouldn't even be starting. So, but yeah, that's how it goes.
I don't put Sam Darnold in the elite conversation. I think Sam Darnold has turned his career around and he's turned into a very good quarterback. You look at what he did last year. And the reason I don't put him elite, again, he had a good year in Minnesota last year. He faded down the stretch. He has no playoff victories. So you can't be elite until you start winning in the playoffs. Baker Mayfield, though, I think Baker Mayfield's in the conversation of elite quarterback. Now, if you want to rank him top 5, that's a different conversation. But when I say elite, I'm talking about the quarterbacks that when they step on the field, they're going to be trouble every time they play. And their teams always have an opportunity to win. Baker Mayfield is showing that. Mike Evans has been out. So for him to go out there with basically their number 1 receiver being the rookie, Abuka out of Ohio State, and we talked about this after week 1. Him and Abuka already have a great chemistry this season, which is crazy to think that he has built that type of rapport with a rookie receiver so fast. But the 379 with the 2 touchdowns yesterday going into Seattle, when you look at that, piggyback the performance he had against Philly last week, when you look at the stretch run that Baker's really had over the last 2 years in Tampa with playoff victories, and then now this trip, I'm not sure people are aware. Baker Mayfield right now through 5 games is already at about 1,300 yards passing. So he's going to get well over 4,000 yards this year. 65% completion ratio. 10 touchdowns, only 1 interception through 5 games, right? If you're putting a ticket the way we are every Sunday, you could pretty much pencil in Baker for 2 touchdowns, 250 yards every week at this point. That's elite type conversation. Like, every week the Baker Mayfield numbers are going to be there. And then the most important number, they're 4-1 right now. Nobody's talking about them. They've had a tough schedule to start the season. They've won a lot of tough games. I think yesterday was another example of that. That's a good Seattle team. They went there as underdogs and they won that game. The Buccaneers go as far as Baker Mayfield, and that's why to me I put them in the elite conversation.
Yeah. So all right. So here's the thing. So we have to think about, all right, so you can have an elite season, but not necessarily be an elite quarterback, because to be an elite quarterback, it's also about the consistency. So you got to do it for a little while. You can't just have one really good year and we just all right, you elite now because you had one good year. No, you got to come back. Like the reason why we say guys like Patrick Mahomes are elite because you know he coming back every year. And not only you gonna get the stats, but you also gonna get the wins. You know what I mean? Like a guy like a Josh Allen who really has his imprint on the outcome of every game. Those are elite guys that's been doing it consistently. You know what I mean? So right now, and those are really good games. But again, that's the stats from one game. But
Yeah,
Baker is on course to have an elite season, but he's gonna have to continue to do that. Again, Baker's young, so he has time to develop even more and get that level of consistency to be in the conversation as an elite quarterback.
But like I said, I think since he's gone to Tampa, since he's gone to Tampa, I don't think we should hold against him his time in Cleveland. One, he went to the playoffs in Cleveland. He won a playoff game in Cleveland. But that organization is so dysfunctional. We see that now that Baker wasn't the problem there. But since he's gone to Tampa, 2023 is first year in Tampa. And that's the year after Tom Brady left. He throws for 4,000 yards. He throws for 28 touchdowns. He completes 64% of his passes. That's his first year in Tampa. Last year, his second year in Tampa, he throws for 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, completion percentage of 70%. The numbers, and then like I said, this year he's already at 1,300 yards. He's completing 65% of his passes, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception.
If he continues this season on par and for the third straight year, I would say he's elite.
That's why that's why I'm saying he's elite because now this is two plus years of Baker Mayfield. Right. We're talking about 8,500 yards the last 2 years. This isn't a guy, and I'm not trying to throw shade on any other quarterback, but we talk a lot about guys who are system quarterbacks, guys who just have great talent around them and they don't have to do much, right? We talk about guys who hey, he's got a great defense, so all he got to do is not screw it up. Baker Mayfield is throwing the football around the field and making big plays, and he's not relying on just a running game because they don't have a Pro Bowl running back. He's not relying on the defense. That's because they don't have an elite defense. He's putting up big numbers. So I think I understand your point of view, and like I said, you want to give it a little more time. To me, I just feel like he's in that conversation right now.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not opposed to that in Baker's case. Because he's done it back-to-back years and is on course to do it again for a third straight year, so I'm not opposed to giving Baker the hat tip. But with Sam Darnold, no,
not Sam Darnold.
He had a really good year last year. But prior to that, I mean, he got over 3,000 barely his second year with the Jets. He had 3,024 yards. Other than that, he hasn't been over 3,000 yards, with the exception of the past season with the Vikings. And we know who he had out there with the Vikings.
Right. But
he is having a good year. He should finish the season off with 4,000 yards based off of what he's done thus far in the season. But again, if he continues on this path this season, and then he comes back out next season and is looking like Baker's looking this season, then we could up the level on him. But for right now, no.
Yeah, Sam Darnold, no, I'm not putting him in that conversation.
Shout out to Will Gordon in the building. Appreciate you, brother. All right, and Ron Charles says more concerning Week 5, Bills or Eagles. I'm gonna say Eagles is more concerning, just because and we kind of spoke about that Eagles Broncos game last week and how close that we felt that game would be. So I expected this to be a close game. I'm glad I took the 4.5, the plus 4.5 from the Broncos though, because put me up a touchdown to win that game. But I think it's more concerning, for the Eagles because one, you lose at home. Two, you know, I feel like we're gonna start to hear, because of that loss, we're gonna start to hear more of the receiver talk. Oh, AJ Brown this and Devontae and that. Even though Devontae had a good game, but I'm pretty sure AJ Brown would have liked a couple more targets, because he didn't have the best of games. But all of those debates are gonna start popping back up now. Now we're gonna get the Jalen Hurts debates. Oh, he couldn't get it done, in the Broncos game. We're gonna start to hear all of that. So everything is gonna start to pile up. Whereas with the Bills, we just spoke about this. We look at this game as a division game. We know these games are gonna be tougher. It's the Patriots. They know each other. This is also a homecoming game for Stephon Diggs. So there's more on the bulletin board material here. You know what I'm saying? Whereas with the Eagles, again, y'all just took a loss, and it kind of was building up to y'all getting the loss, because y'all had a couple of close calls. So you really, you know what I'm saying, things go a different way in two of those games. You guys could be 2-3 right now on the season. So I would say it's the Eagles.
It's got to be the Eagles for a number of reasons. The reason I'm not too concerned with the Bills loss, as you mentioned, competitive game against a division rival, and then there was also the revenge factor in there with Stephon Diggs coming back. So that, to me, you can't overstate that. You can't try to make it seem like it's bigger than what it is, Pauls, because again, it's a division rivalry. We see it all the time. It's why the Niners were so competitive on Thursday against the Rams, right? When division opponents play, you never know what's going to happen. But for the Eagles, there's a lot going on in Philadelphia. Outside of the obvious, AJ Brown, the back and forth on social media. Is he happy? Is he not happy? Is he getting enough targets? What's going on there? Aside from that, on the field trip, if CeeDee Lamb catches 2 of those passes to start the season, they might have lost to the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If Travis Kelce doesn't drop an easy touchdown, the Chiefs had a chance to beat them. Right? Travis Kelce bobbles what would have been a touchdown that turns into a pick six the other way. Right? They needed 2 block kicks to beat the Rams. They went up against a banged-up Tampa Bay team, and Baker Mayfield had a chance to tie that game late. And then this week, they were up 17-3. So every game that we've highlighted, there were moments where if one play doesn't go the Eagles' way, they probably could have lost. And like you said, they could easily be 2-3. But to me, also the most concerning is look at the raw numbers, bro. Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown for 900 yards. We're 5 games in. So you're throwing less than 200 yards a game. All right, and then people say, well, they got the running game. Saquon Barkley's averaging 50 yards a game. Now, I don't know if last year has taken a toll on Saquon, but through 5 games, I do not see the explosiveness from Saquon that I saw last year.
Oh, no.
Not even close.
DeMarco Murray, when we had that 2,000-yard rush season for the Cowboys, everybody thought it was lit.
He wasn't the same, right?
And
we talk a lot about the Eagles and they're loaded, they have a great team. What I've seen is a defense that is not as good as we thought, and a team that can be bullied a little bit. When the Rams played them, I thought the Rams bullied them. I thought the Rams got what they wanted. I thought Puka Nacua had his way with that secondary. Mm-hmm. What I saw yesterday was a Bronco team that, even though they were down 17-3, the Broncos started to bully them. The Broncos started to impose their will on the Eagles. And again, a game that was at one point 17-3, you end up losing. And the Broncos probably could have done more in that game if they really wanted to. I thought the Broncos defense was great. We talked about Surtain. He might be the best corner in the game. A.J. Brown had a lot of struggles. But aside from that, that defensive line was consistently getting pressure. That defensive line was forcing the issue. And for the second straight week, the Eagles with the lead started to fade. Like I said, last week against Tampa, they did not complete one pass in the second half of that game. This week, they struggled to maintain any consistent offense. The Eagles are in trouble. I think it's something to pay attention to. The Eagles are going to win their division because the division isn't that good. But the Eagles are not as good as we thought, and they're not as good as last year. So there's a little bit of fool's gold here. On the surface, we're going to keep giving the Eagles credit and respect because they're the champs. But I'm watching these games, and they do not look like nowhere near the team they were last year.
Shout out to Nardo. He says Travis Hunter is still not being used right. Um, well, I think one of the issues is the Jaguars as a whole just aren't that good. I think
I disagree with that, but
that's the first one. They haven't proven it yet these last couple of seasons, so and there's not too much difference. But I think it's still going to take some time to really get Travis Hunter acclimated to, because again, this is not something that we're used to with a player who's trying to play both sides of the football consistently as Travis Hunter is. So I think it's still going to take time for the coaching staff to really map out a game plan that maximizes what you can get from Travis Hunter. And we're only 5 games into the season. It's going to take a little bit of time, because it's not just the Travis Hunter show in Jacksonville. He's
correct.
A part of their offense. He's a part of their defense. But this is not a situation where it's like, it's all about Travis Hunter. We got to get him the ball every play. It's just not like that. So you got to give it some time, to gel.
You got to give it some time to gel, but as we've highlighted several times, it's going to be tough for it to gel because you can't split yourself in two. You can't be in both meeting rooms every day. Mm-hmm. There are installs that are done weekly with teams that are very difficult to adjust to. There are obviously new audibles that are put in. So you have to focus on one side, either the defense or the offense. So for me, he's not being used correctly. Now, did they maximize the opportunities yesterday? Yes, he was targeted 3 times. He had 3 catches. Obviously, he had the big catch. But to me, what I liked the most was the 2 earlier passes were shorter completions that allowed him to just run after the catch and be a playmaker with the football. So I like those for him. But I still think he should be focused more on the defensive side of the ball with just packages on the offensive end. And shout out to Aqib Talib. I heard him say the same thing, where he said, I think he should only play 12 to 15 plays offensively. And you just create packages for him and find ways to get him the football and let him go from there, as opposed to trying to force him being on the field a lot on offense and then taking away from defense. But I disagree with you, Trip. I'm not going to use the past of the Jaguars against them currently. The current version of the Jaguars that won last night, that are 4-1, they lead the league in takeaways. They're one of the fastest defenses in football. You saw it again yesterday with the pick 6. I think what stuck out to me the most yesterday was they was down 14-0. The Chiefs were looking like the old Chiefs. And then from that point on, the Jaguars settled in, and they got themselves not only going offensively, but their defense started creating some havoc. And their defense was forcing Patrick Mahomes to probably move more than he wanted to. So to me, this Jaguar team is good. Are they a Super Bowl contender? That's a different conversation. But when you're 4-1 and you lead the league in takeaways, I think you're a pretty solid team. And they've got an opportunity now to figure it out what they want to do offensively. Yesterday might have been Brian Thomas's best game of the season, most consistent anyway. This team is trending in the right direction. I think they're a pretty good team, Trip.
I mean, listen, we're gonna see. I think we're gonna find out who they are in the next couple of weeks. But I'm gonna be honest with you, they started off good. I don't see them making the playoffs though. But we're gonna see as the schedule goes on.
Yeah, I mean, they're 4-1. Their next 2 games are probably going to be a real test for them. They got the Seahawks, who are 3-2, and then they got the Rams after that. So those are really good tests. But outside of that, you're talking about a game against the Raiders. You're talking about a game against the Texans. They still got the Cardinals. They got the Titans twice on their schedule. Obviously, they got their 2 games against the Colts. Their divisional games, we're going to learn a lot about them in the divisional games. But at 4-1, even if you play just 500 ball the rest of the way, you play 5 games, you got 12 to go. Even if you go 6-6 the rest of the way, you're going to get to 10 wins. So, and I think the fact that they get the Titans twice, they got the Cardinals, they got the Raiders, there's some very winnable games left for them.
Well, Hoops Hype says Mark Sanchez facing level 5 felony battery charges after stabbing incident. I don't understand what happened. Because first it was Mark Sanchez got stabbed. Everybody felt bad for Mark Sanchez. Then it seems like it was some whole other mess that was going on where now he was arrested, I believe, at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I think we need a little bit more details to really go too far into it. Because again, this literally is something, is right on the news why it just happening and still happening as we speak. So all of the details aren't out just yet, but I mean, I I don't understand it, what the situation was and how everything got started. But I'm sure we'll find out soon enough.
Right. Yeah, we don't know all the details. The gentleman who stabbed him also is suing Mark Sanchez and Fox Sports, who Mark Sanchez works for, and that's why he was in Indianapolis. He was supposed to cover the Indianapolis Vegas game.
Mhm.
But what we know so far is this gentleman, 69-year-old gentleman, was working that night. He was a truck driver. He was at one of his stops. Him and Mark Sanchez, for whatever reason, get into it. His version of the story is he was at the loading dock at the hotel. I guess Mark Sanchez, I don't know if he was blocking a car or blocking an entrance. He said Mark Sanchez came at him aggressively and then started making threats. He pepper sprayed Mark Sanchez to get him to back up, which then Mark Sanchez flipped out even more, started punching him. And then in the midst of Mark Sanchez punching him is when homie pulled out his knife and started stabbing. So I'm sure there's got to be footage from the hotel that's going to get pulled. There's more details to come. Obviously, you can't just go around pepper spraying people for the guy, right? But to be fair, if we see on the video that Mark Sanchez was coming at him in a threatening way, because again, we're talking about an elderly gentleman. This guy's 69 years old. If Mark Sanchez came at him in a way where he felt threatened, maybe he might have felt like, hey, I'm just going to pepper spray him to back him up off me. And then when that didn't work, things went left. But for the cops to arrest Mark Sanchez, I think they must have felt that there's enough evidence to prove that not only was he the aggressor, but that this other gentleman must have felt threatened enough to not only pepper spray you.
It warranted it. Yeah.
Right. It warranted the pepper spray and then him obviously, hitting you with the poker. So we got to see how that all plays out. But for Mark Sanchez, this got to be super embarrassing. Like, you're there representing Fox Sports. You were out, obviously, probably having some drinks, mingling on the town, and you end up in a hospital bed, stabbed up and arrested.
And if it doesn't go your way, you're most likely done at Fox Sports.
Oh, he's done at Fox. Yeah.
Yeah, that's over, which looks like that's what it's going to be. That's one. And the second lesson that we learned is that, I want to explain this to the people out there. There's a thing that we used to have, and that, myself and guys like myself and Eric have, it's called respect your elders.
Yep.
So, and I think that's a lost art, because even back in the day, even with the mob, it was like, old ladies and babies is supposed to be untouchable. You keep them out the business when everything is going on. So once we stop, with our morals and not respecting our elders, things like this can happen. Because guess what? Older people ain't playing either. They done been through some things, and they might whip your ass just as much as a young person might whip your ass. What I'm saying? It's called giving out act right. When somebody needs to act right, older person will give you some act right. And that might be what happened in this situation. But you be honest, listen, don't be out here disrespecting older people. Because I'm going to give you a story right now, Eric. My grandmother's best friend. God rest her soul. She passed away about a month and a half ago. But for the bulk of her life, she lived in Albany Projects in Brooklyn. And boy, if that lady didn't keep the thing in her purse. And you don't want to be the one to test her and find out, because she will take that thing out and let it couple fly. So you don't want to test her. But that's why I tell you, respect your elders. Just keep that up. That's what we was taught as children. And I think it's something that's been lost on this generation. That level, that level of respect. So I'm telling you, you're gonna F around and find out the right way. You keep messing around with these seasoned folk. I ain't gonna say elderly, but these seasoned folk.
No, I agree. And I'll say this, just from a professional standpoint, Mark Sanchez is going to be in the wrong no matter what, because you there on business, you there to work.
Mm-hmm.
You getting into arguments with the guy who's, whether he's working for the hotel, at the hotel, just making his routine, his job, what you doing, bro?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got bigger fish to fry. You there to cover the game on Sunday.
You Mark Sanchez, bro.
Right. Go, enjoy the night on the town, keep it moving. And I think that's another thing that gets lost too. Again, Trip, you and I from a different era, right? Like when you somewhere on business, handle business.
Mm-hmm.
You're not there for the BS. You're not there for nothing else. You're there to handle business. You got to learn to walk away. You got to learn to be like, yo, it's cool. It ain't even that serious, bro. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm here for. Now you done got yourself stabbed up. You caught a charge, and you probably ruined your bag over at Fox.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If that's not embarrassing, I don't know what is. Because now you gotta go back and have that talk with the family. Why the check's looking different now?
Exactly. It is what it is. What it do? Will Gordon says my Chargers have a short down 3 on lineman, running back 2, Mac, and the list goes on. Still 3-0 in the AFC West, but we're trending down. Herbert has been pressured 81 times for 3 weeks. I saw 80 in 2024. Yeah, I mean, we kind of broke it down earlier, but yeah, that's pretty much what it is. They gotta get healthy and get back to winning games, because now that you lost 2, you don't want to start having that be the trend. When you start losing, so I would definitely be mindful of that.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned for the Chargers, as I mentioned. Now you're down a couple old linemen. Your running back's going to be out the next 4 weeks. For me, I'm a little concerned just because this offense is starting to struggle a little bit. We talked about 18 points last week against the Giants, 10 points this week against the Commanders. You get a winnable game against the Dolphins, but the schedule doesn't get much easier. I mean, you still got the Vikings on there. You still got the Steelers. You got the Jags. It's a tough stretch coming up for the Chargers.
Yep. Listen, I'm saying, don't mess around and get the Chiefs a chance. Shout out to Dion Hoops page. He says Dylan Gabriel impresses in his debut.
Impresses who?
I was about to say, I don't know if I would go that far with it, but okay, because I last I checked, like maybe I might feel a little bit differently if they got the win, but you lost to the Vikings. You didn't even throw for 200 yards. I know he had the 2 touchdowns. I didn't see no real mobility there. It wasn't like when my main man Jackson Dart was running the football. It wasn't like that. So I don't know about if there's any athleticism there. So I don't know, unless this was this a question you just left off the question mark.
But you must have punctuation matters.
Yeah, but no, I don't think. Well, I don't know who was impressed. Why would you be with that game?
Yeah, he threw 2 touchdowns. One was a 1-yard pass. One was a 9-yard pass.
Yeah.
He had 190 yards passing. Trip, his average completion was 5.8 yards. He basically was out there throwing dump offs and screen passes.
And his QBR was 39. So I don't know about
that. His longest pass of the day was 22 yards.
Yeah. Now, who was impressive was the running back, Quinshawn Judkins.
Yeah.
He was impressive. That's an impressive game. I don't know what you saw in Dylan Gabriel's game. But yeah, that wasn't it.
I mean, his QBR his QBR was 39.
Yeah, that's not impressive.
It was nothing to be impressive about.
Yeah. While we're talking about the Browns, though, they have sent Joe Flacco to division rival Bengals, which I kind of thought was like a little crazy. Like, why would you do that? Because they haven't played them yet.
Didn't they play? I thought they played week 1. They played week 1.
They got to play them one more time. So I don't know if I would have traded Joe Flacco to the Bengals, because that's a situation where Joe Flacco could mess around and light it up, and the Bengals, listen, he's definitely a hell of an upgrade from what they got at quarterback.
Oh yeah,
and you know what I mean. And again, this is not a situation like where you're going into having Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as your wideouts, which I would say is a hell of an improvement from what he had in Cleveland. So, I don't know if I would have traded him to a division rival.
What is it? Is it going to ruin the Browns season?
No, they ain't gonna ruin the Browns season.
The Browns ain't.
I'm
They're not
saying-
going nowhere. You give them too
I'm
much credit,
saying-
Trip.
From the standpoint of you don't want to help out the division either at the same time.
I mean, they probably looked at it like, yo, we picked up draft pick. We're not worried about it. But Joe Flacco, it's a good situation. Is he an upgrade over Browning? Yes. For the Bengals, they're hoping to just kind of tread water. They're hoping to just stay alive and make it worth Joe Burrow coming back in December. So that's what. If you're the Browns, I mean, Dylan Gabriel's already starting. They're gonna go with him as is. I think the bigger question if you're the Browns is, so right now you have two quarterbacks on roster. Remember, they traded Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
Right, and now you trade Flacco. So the short side of you, everybody's gonna say, well, Shador's the backup now. I think what y'all should be paying attention to though is, I think Deshaun Watson's about to come back soon. And so they open up the roster spot. Deshaun Watson had put out videos during the offseason saying that he was ready to go. Original reports were saying that he would be ready in December, but then there were actual beat reporters in Cleveland, Will Gordon can confirm this as well, who were saying that Deshaun might be ready to go by November. And so the fact that here we are in the middle of October, I think they're clearing up the spot because if Deshaun is ready to come back, they can't force him to stay home. No matter how much Browns fans may not want Deshaun around the team, they can't. If he's healthy to play, I don't think they can just force him to stay home. It's too much money on the books to just let him stay home. So I think Deshaun might be coming back soon.
And I think it's 6 weeks, right? That he would have to, if he's able to come off the PUP list.
Yep.
After 6 weeks, so excuse me, that could very well be the case. We'll go and Harbaugh might not be the issue. This is in regards to the Ravens. Harbaugh might not be the issue. The GM is they've been drafting offense very high since getting Lamar and missing. Their identity was always defense and drafting studs. They've gotten away from that. Well, I mean, they did draft the best safety in the draft this year, Malachi Starks, and Kyle Hamilton, I believe a year or two ago.
And then they also got Mike Green, who led college football in sacks last year.
Yeah. So they have had a couple of drafts at wide receiver where it was like, all right, they haven't like obviously the Hollywood Brown situation didn't work out. That was one of their first round draft picks. Rashad Bateman, at this point is probably average. You know what I mean? So J.K. Dobbins, who they did draft on, I'm not gonna say J.K. Dobbins was a bust. He just couldn't stay healthy with Baltimore. And he still, even last year, he got hurt with the Chargers. He wound up getting hurt last year. So, I could definitely see that side of it too. But they have been drafting defensive players too, and they got a couple of really good defensive players in the draft. So it's probably a combination of both though. Just it's time for a change of pace. The offensive draft picks haven't really been hitting and panning out like that. You know what I mean? So I think it's about time.
I think the draft picks haven't been an issue. I just think this year's the injuries. We can't forget, the Ravens have been a consistent playoff team the last couple of years, but to start this year, Van Noy was out, Madubuike was out, Zaire Alexander was out. Those were three guys that were already expected to be starters. So you started the season with three guys out.
Yeah.
And then it just progressively got worse. Patrick Green was out last week, right? Marlon Humphrey was out. Trip, you and I spoke before the games on Sunday. They were slated to be missing 6 guys that were supposed to be starters on defense. That was on defense alone, right? Then Ronnie Staley, the tackle, was out. Lamar's out. So there's a lot of injuries here, and I don't think this should be viewed as like, oh, they haven't drafted well. I think they've drafted well, but you can't account for injuries, and that's just part of the game. We didn't think that the Ravens weren't drafting well when they were beating the Buffalo Bills week 1, right? And they put up a 40-piece on them. We thought the Ravens looked like the Ravens. The issue has been the defense hasn't played well. The injuries are starting to mount, and now they find themselves in a do-or-die situation, I think, over the next 2 weeks. They got to find a way to win one of these 2 games the next 2 weeks if they want to keep their season alive.
Yeah. Let me take this last football comment from Imani, and then we're gonna switch over. Imani says, "Did y'all see Jaden Daniels embrace Juju Watkins at the game? I don't know, something going on with them. He showed up at her b-day party. I just hope his mama out the way." Yeah, we spoke about this a little bit earlier in the show, Imani, and I said I'm all for it. I don't know. I don't got no confirmations. I ain't get the word around the campfire, nothing like that. But if they are rocking with each other, I completely support that. They are two of the brightest young stars in the sports world, respectively, with Jaden Daniel in the NFL. Juju, obviously, she's at USC right now, but she'll, even though she's taking this year off, I'm sure she'll be in the WNBA. She's the best player in college basketball right now. But yeah, they're two young, successful, beautiful black people. I'm all for it. I love it. We need more of it.
It was cool to see. As I mentioned earlier, I think everything is cool with moms because moms was there as well, and so
This is sad. I talk about this every time with the mom.
Well, this is what Jaden and his mom has created, though. You know, we talked about that. Jaden has allowed his mom to kind of set these parameters. You know, she's his date when he goes to award ceremony. She's everywhere he's at. You know, even in the off season when he's sitting courtside, she's with him. So he has allowed her to be a part of his social life as well, which is one of the things I talked about in our question before. I don't think at 24 years old I would want to go everywhere with my mother. That's just I just don't. That's just me though. Maybe he views it differently.
Differently, yeah.
But I also don't want to. I don't want to assume that they dating. They may just be good friends. Remember, you know, he played out in Arizona. He was out on the West Coast a little bit. Maybe they struck up a friendship during the time, and she was at the game. But it was cool to see. It was dope for her to be there.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Let me go back because I seen some WNBA stuff. Shout out to Pooh. She says in WNBA finals, we know Eric not watching, but Aces have taken a 2-0 lead, but headed back to Phoenix. Wilson doing her thing, but Jackie Young might be MVP after 2 games. Let me say this. First and foremost, very good start to the WNBA finals. I'm glad that they finally got the WNBA finals to the 7-game series now. So yes, they do go back to Phoenix. But in regards to your part, the part about Jackie Young being the MVP, that part I would have to disagree with. I know she had a really good game too. Obviously she put up a nice little 30-piece McNugget, but Asia Wilson, you know, has been consistent in those first 2 games, averaging a double-double. And when I say averaging a double-double, she ain't just averaging like 10 and 10. She averaging like a nice little 25-point double-double over the first 2 games. And then she's also contributed in every other statistical category as well. And then when you combine that with the fact of just the storyline of the season, with her being MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, the point record, game records, and everything, it's, you know, she would have to she'd have to be Steph Curry in the first Warriors championship run when Iggy got the Finals MVP, and that's just not the case because she has the numbers showing, you know, that she is the MVP. You know, game 1, 21, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. In comparison to Jackie Young, who only had 10 points, with 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals in game 1. So game 1 wasn't even close. And then when you compare the numbers for game 2, yes, she does have 32 and 8 with 2 assists and a steal, but you know, Asia Wilson's not far behind. She's got 28 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. So, you know, I would say it's still Asia, and you know, on the plus and minus in game 2, plus 21 for Asia Wilson in comparison to plus 10 for Jackie Young. So, you know, shout out to all the ladies because again, the series has been really good. It's been competitive. But as far as if we basing the MVP off of what we saw after the first 2 games, it would be Asia Wilson.
Pooh thinks just because I might be distracted with other things, I'm not in tune with what's going on. Asia Wilson is the MVP of this series and of the finals. Yes, Jackie Young had a great game too. But when you consider what Asia Wilson has done, not only offensively, but impact defensively, like you said, the steals in game 2, the blocks in game 1, those things change the tide. And this situation and this debate kind of reminds me of like when people were talking about, oh, Tony Parker should have won an finals MVP. Yeah, but Tony Parker don't get to do what he does if it's not for Tim Duncan. If Tim Duncan ain't requiring the attention he's getting and doing all the things he's doing, Tony Parker don't get to do what he's doing. So this is one of them situations. Asia Wilson is doing everything. Jackie Young had a great game too. Asia Wilson is just great every game. It's her MVP. Let's not complicate things. And I've been watching, Pooh, since you thought I wasn't.
All right, let me come down. Let me see what we got here. Oh, here we go. We spoke about that at the beginning of the show, but shout out to Janetta Johnson.
Oh,
that
man.
LeBron
Here we go. I was waiting for us to get to this one.
Corny as hell. People tired of him. Listen, man, it's just LeBron being LeBron. What are you gonna do? I mean, listen, it's an endorsement deal. It's a commercial. Was it cheesy? It's LeBron. That's what he does.
Trip, you're being too friendly about the situation. This is saying a lot. This is one of the corniest ish LeBron has ever done. And LeBron has done a lot of corny ish. A lot of corny ish. This is one of the most corniest things he has ever done. You throw out a trailer for a decision, right? And it's from a wide lens view. So we don't really get to see who's the interviewer. We just see him walk into the chair. And so, of course, the internet runs wild with it. And everybody runs wild with it because there's been speculation. Is this his last season? You know, what is he going to do? And you say the decision part 2, right? And it's almost like, and I agree with you, Pooh. He's an attention whore. LeBron James, not Trip. LeBron James. We're not talking about Trip here. But when you say the decision 2, right? Everybody knows the backlash from the decision 1, and he's always said that's his biggest regret of his career. He shouldn't have handled it that way. So when you say the decision 2, we're thinking like, all right, to kind of not only rectify what was done that time, but to go out the right way of like, I know I'm gonna get a farewell world tour. I'm gonna let you know. This is so attention-seeking of LeBron James. He's no longer the face of the Lakers. The Lakers did not accommodate to him this offseason. He had to opt into that contract. They already told him, we're not signing you beyond that. This is Luka's team. And he is so hurt that he is not the center of attention and that he's not getting the king treatment from the Lakers. That you come out and do a fake announcement to then, for us to find out it was an advertisement that you're supporting a new Hennessy VSOP. This is the Trip. This is by far the corniest ish anybody could ever do. By far. And we've criticized a lot of guys for some of the stuff. And Trip, I know your bias for LeBron will not allow you to call it what it is. But if this was anybody else, you would be like, yo, you are the corniest dude ever, bro. You set up a whole production of you walking into a potential interview called The Decision 2.
Now,
and then gave it a time. And then gave it a time.
Can I play devil's advocate though?
Go ahead. Please defend it.
What if this is the commercial that Hennessy VSOP came up when it said we want to remake the decision for the VSOP commercial?
Okay.
And LeBron was like, all right, whatever, and ran with it.
Okay, but then you know what? You saw if we're gonna do it, but let's do it as a commercial. Don't put a trailer. No, they put a trailer out.
Yeah, tease the commercial.
Just do the commercial. How about that? You do, and then you put a trailer, and then you put a Trip. He put a time to it. ESPN, Bleacher Report, Fox Sports. They're all reporting the news saying LeBron has an announcement tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
It kind of puts more on to the point that Gilbert Arenas made when he said a lot of y'all cats in the media gonna be sick when LeBron go, because anything LeBron say or do is gonna be a moment.
But that's what any major star though. Gil ain't saying nothing by saying that. The NFL media was sick when Tom Brady left.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's nobody, like, the attention that LeBron gets from the media is unlike any other, positive and negative.
It doesn't matter, Trip. That shit is corny, bro.
I'm not saying it wasn't
corny.
corny. I'm just saying it's LeBron, so it's gonna be
and then LeBron, and I know you're a LeBron supporter, but I don't put you in this group. The Bron sexuals, the ones that live and die with everything, then they don't understand why people feel the way they feel about Bron, because it's stuff like this.
Oh no, I'm a realist. I understand it. I'm just not going to go against the grain, but I do understand. That people feel like, yeah, I get it, because it is corny. It's not, because again, it's not something that I would do personally.
It's
but
so, and then why? So you're telling me, right? Even if Hennessy is the one who pitches the idea and says, LeBron, we have this idea, right, for Hennessy, right? We got this idea for Hennessy, and we want to kind of roll it out this way and do the commercial this way. And LeBron okays it. And then you telling me Rich Paul, nobody at Clutch said, nah, let's not do that. Let's slow down. We caught major backlash for the decision, the first decision, and we know how poorly that went over. Let's not do it that way. If we want to make it look like the decision, like if we want to create a commercial that's like, oh, breaking news, LeBron has a decision to make, that's something different. But to put a time on it, like it was some sort of special announcement, 12 o'clock tomorrow, you promote Hennessy at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday?
Listen, it's happy hour somewhere.
Get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm sorry. Get the fuck out of here. Come on.
Yo, y'all got me cracking up in the comments. Will, I'm glad you paused that statement. But y'all got me cracking up in the comments. Oh my goodness. I love y'all, man. I really do. All right, let me come back up here. We gotta talk Aisha Curry now.
Oh, we went from bad to worse.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to Pooh. She says, Aisha Curry, LOL. What's y'all thoughts on her comments on her and Steph? She said she never wanted kids, had career goals, and Steph doesn't get it. It's her identity, basically Curry's wife. There's a large chance that that's going to happen when you don't have anything that is, I guess, very well known going on. I'm not gonna say she doesn't have anything going on, but in comparison to her partner, her husband, Steph Curry, who is maybe one of the most known people in the world, if there's no balance, right? Like Beyonce is never going to be Jay-Z's wife. You know what I mean? Because there's a balance there, because Jay-Z is who he is, but Beyonce is also who he is. So it wouldn't be a situation where Beyonce is looked at as Jay-Z's wife. You know what I mean? But in her case, in order for that balance to happen and her to not just be considered Steph Curry's wife, she'd have to have other things going on. And the reality is, we don't really know Aisha Curry except from when she says these things in the media every couple of years. But I don't know what Aisha Curry does. And that's not to say she doesn't do anything, because I'm sure she has things going on, but it's just not known. So when you have the level of popularity of one of the partners in the relationship is all the way up here in comparison to hers, which we only know you as that, yeah, she's gonna fall into that category, and she's gonna become Stephen Curry's wife. And no, I'm not down with none of the statements that she made, because it's like, yo, man, I get it. You might have some other things you want to do, but you live a very blessed life that so many people in this world would give a right arm to live the half of the life that you live. And then you continue to come on these podcasts and say things to where it's just like, yo, like have your husband's back. Like, don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's for you to talk about with your girlfriends or your therapist if you need to get that out. Not to go on podcasts that you know is gonna go viral because it's you and you saying like it. I just don't like it, man. I'm sorry, respectfully to them, because they married, whatever. But personally, I don't like it. I don't think it's right. So it is what it is. That's why I stand with it.
I mean, it's on a deeper level, and I'm not. It's not to be clickbait or overreact. If I was Steph, I would divorce her. And the reason I say that is because this isn't an isolated incident. This isn't the first time she said this, right? You sitting up there, y'all been married for 20 years, I think, at this point. Now, for people that don't know the backstory, they met in college. She's, I think, a year or two older than Steph. She said multiple times that she wasn't interested in Steph in the beginning. She didn't see a relationship with them in the beginning, that he was just in the friend zone. Then the relationship developed. You can go back. These are things she said. So I'm not creating a narrative. These are things she has said. Mm-hmm. The relationship developed. She is older by Steph by at least 1 year, maybe 2 years, right? They decide to be together. He goes into the NBA. So right off the rip, from the relationship standpoint, she hit the lotto. This man who loves you, who you are his college sweetheart, is going into the NBA, and you're going on the journey with him, right? He ain't leave you behind. He ain't say, "Oh, now that I'm going to the NBA, I'm on the big and better things." No, he chose you as the woman that he wanted to be with, and now you guys get to go on this journey together, right? And to your point, Trip, you live a life that is very blessed. There are a lot of people out here working 60, 70 hours a week to be able to provide for their family. You get to be a beautiful woman with a beautiful family who gets to enjoy the perks of what your husband does for a living. You sit here, you have 4 children. Your oldest daughter is a teenager. And you get on a podcast and say, "I never wanted to have kids." How you think your daughter feel about how you think your daughter feel about that? Because now it's not just a slight at Steph, it's a slight to your kids. You never wanted to have kids, but you have 4 of them.
So you ain't want me?
Right.
That's crazy, bro. Like, what are you talking about? You
never wanted to have kids, but you got 4 of them. And then you publicly acknowledge, "I never wanted to have kids. I never wanted to get married." Now, remember this.
Why did you?
You know why she did. Because she got to enjoy the perks of the fact that Steph was going into the league. So am I not going to cash in the lotto ticket? Right? Now, remember.
If you big bad Leroy Brown.
Right. Remember, we talked about this when Jada said this about Will on her show when she said, I didn't want to get married. My mother had to convince me to get married. And we've seen the way Jada's embarrassed Will.
Yep.
Aisha Curry's doing the same thing. And that's why I said, not clickbait, not overhype, not overreacting. If I'm Steph and we this far into our marriage and you still worried about Aisha Curry as the individual, you still worried about what Aisha Curry wanted, my life didn't pan out the way I expected, that sounds like a lot of selfish talk to me.
And if you feel so much about it that you've got to speak on it on the podcast that you know is going to go viral, then leave. You got enough notoriety now. You can go out and be on your own and do what you got to do. Why you still married then?
Right. Like I said, you sitting here making a lot of selfish statements. I. Do you feel that way when you look at the bank account and see millions of dollars?
No.
Do you sit there
on his dime?
When you're going shopping, taking vacations, you at the fucking Drake concert taking backstage pictures with Drake. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget you sitting here. She sat here, bro, on a podcast and said, "I want to be desired too. Sometimes I wish men would just give me the attention." Did she not say that?
Crazy work. Yep.
Bro, at what point, if you Steph, you be like, "Yo, enough's enough, bro. You're not going to keep disrespecting me."
Yeah.
You're not just going like, You say, like you said, Trip, it's one thing to have these conversations with your therapist. If that's how you feel and you got to speak to a therapist, that's one thing. But you sitting here publicly disrespecting me. You publicly shitting on my family name. You publicly got our kids looking at us like, damn, I guess daddy ain't enough for you. Because I'm sure his teenage daughter looking at this like, damn, tell us how you really feel that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And in life, we got to be honest too. In life, we're all adults. Shout out to the comment section. I'm sure everybody's been in some sort of long-term relationship. In life, similar to the way we talk about sports, when we talk about an alpha, who's the Michael to the Scotty and vice versa. And life is like that too. Most times in a relationship, there's one person whose profile may be a little bit more elevated than other. Maybe that person makes a little bit more money, right? That's just the way it is. But you don't sit there and shit on a person just because they might make a little bit more money than you, or they might be a little bit more popular than you. And in relationships all the time, we meet people who the wife may be the social butterfly. She may be the one with more friends than the husband, right? So he played a background role a little bit. You don't sit there, I never wanted to be married. I never wanted to have kids.
Yeah.
Imagine if Steph, or imagine any athlete would have came out and said that after his wife had 4 kids. I never wanted to have kids.
Cancel that dude. That's what's
Right.
going.
Think about the backlash.
He didn't want his kids. He didn't want his wife. What? She good to that man.
Right. Imagine the backlash if Braun came out the mall and said, yeah, I never saw myself as a husband and a father. I never wanted that for my life.
Yeah.
People like, what? After all the sacrifice Savannah made?
Yeah, word, right?
After all the things she did, you go really fix your face to say that in public?
That's yeah.
And so how many times does Aisha Curry have to say this, bro? Steph, I hope you got people around you that's being real with you and be like, yo, enough is enough, bro. Y'all too far in the game for her to even be fixing her face to say some ish like that.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. That's we talking about corny. That's super corny. That's disrespectful. You disrespecting that man. You disrespected your kids. You disrespected your family as a whole. You reap all the benefits of what Steph has done. To the classic Drake line, you wasn't with him shooting in the gym. You wasn't putting in the long sessions in the gym. You wasn't on the trainer's table rehabbing ankles and knees and all that. Nope. And yet you could sit here in public.
And you pretty much, what you got going on in life, you can attribute to your husband being Steph Curry. Because I just did a little reading on her. She's Canadian, came to LA trying to do her acting thing, got in a short film and a couple of smaller things. And then 3 years later, she married Steph Curry.
Right.
And
Monty, I'm going to say this. All right, maybe she didn't get to sow her oats, but that's her decision. Ain't nobody put a gun to her head and say, marry Steph Curry. No, you know why she married Steph? She married Steph Curry because he was
ticket. She got a golden ticket.
Right. That's why she married Steph. She married Steph because she knew what it was. She saw the lotto ticket. Let's keep it a buck. She's older than Steph Curry. So she was at college doing what she was doing before Steph hit the college scene. Mm-hmm. If she didn't sow her oats or she felt she didn't get her whole phase done, that's on her.
Yeah.
She didn't have to say yes to Steph.
Should have got it out your system before you said yes. Then you'd have been good. Now it's like, yo, enjoy the ride. Let me see if I think there's a couple other Aisha. Yeah. Kyrie, like old girl said, Aisha Curry hasn't been piped down by nobody other than Steph. She probably listen. She probably needed the Brooklyn dude with the Timbs on or something. Because I don't know what she's looking for out here. But you got a loving family, so you should get over it. But let me see. Hold on. I seen some more Aisha Curry stuff before I go to the next topic. Oh, will any money? Oh yeah, we got to that. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Didn't she say Steph doesn't make her? That's. I hope she did not say that.
She did say that. She did say that.
Now hold up. Now We're not gonna go down. Not only you already.
She didn't say it on this podcast, but she said it on a previous podcast about the sexual frustrations within their relationship. She talked about that. That's what I'm saying. She
Nah,
was
you-
wild disrespect. Come on, bro.
Now you need now I'm gonna have to go with arrogant on. You might need to consider that because that's crazy to say something like are you like that's only something women's supposed to use when you fighting with your man. You don't just you don't go on a podcast because that means you really mean he can't satisfy you.
Yo,
So
I'm clipping him. I'm telling you, I'm clipping him. Like
Nah,
if you think life is better without me, then go find out.
you don't deserve this life I'm providing for you.
Right. If you think life is better, if you think there's better options out there for you, then go find out. Because you obviously ain't happy here. If you running on a podcast, if you on a podcast saying that, I can only imagine what you're saying to your friends behind closed doors.
Listen, man. That's wild, bro.
I'm clipping them.
Yeah, she got to get cooked because I'm surprised she ain't cheated yet. If it's like that, if you ain't, you got all these complaints and you ain't getting satisfied, she ain't got her little August Alsina somewhere. I don't know. Pooh say yeah, but I think Steph Curry is too in love to love. Yeah, you know what? Because honestly, Steph seemed like the type where it's like, now we don't get divorced type. We got a family. We just gonna have to. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. So what's the joint? The meme on Instagram. I'm gonna stand beside him. He gonna stand beside her because it's no matter what she say. But now you got to check on that, bro.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Like you out of pocket. I'm sorry, we can't stand for that. Let me see what we got next. I've seen a couple more comments up here. Let me see. Oh, okay, hold on. Kyrie says, I hope no one gets in their feelings, but Bronny James isn't an NBA player. I try to give him time, but he is an overseas player at best. He's taking a roster spot. Listen, he might need to go overseas and do something. But he got a roster spot at least until LeBron retires, and since that decision wasn't the real decision about when he was going to retire, he might be there for a little while. So, I don't know.
Shout out to Kyrie, but Kyrie, we've been established that we knew that already. We knew he wasn't ready. He shouldn't have come out of USC after 1 year, but that was the pressure of LeBron and Clutch Sports. They wanted to make sure that they played together. Yeah. We said it then. He should have stood at USC. He should have continued to develop his game. Let's keep in mind right now, this would have been his junior year at USC. So I'm not giving Bronny a pass. I'm just calling it like it is. He should have been a junior at USC right now, still working on his game. And maybe after his junior year, we would have felt differently about it. Now he's getting experience against NBA players, NBA practices, NBA facilities. Maybe we will see his game elevate throughout this season. I'm not excited for Bronny James. I never was excited about Bronny James. I thought, again, he should have never left. And I think too often we're too quick to try to rush these young men into the league. Keep in mind, some of the best players in the league right now spent multiple years in college. John Morant didn't come out after his freshman year. It's okay. You could stay an extra year and work on your game. So Bronny, is he an NBA player? In my opinion, no. Can he become an NBA player? Yes. And I'm gonna say this, Will. I don't know if he'll get dog walked overseas, because we see a lot of guys who don't pan out in the NBA go overseas and have a lot of success. So I think Bronny would be okay overseas. So they still got time to develop though.
So didn't his father leave his wife for someone? I think Curry's dad swiped with his friend. I think so. I feel like I did hear something about that, but I think that was also after they were grown, though.
Yeah, his parents just separated like within the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like they was because they still have younger kids. His oldest daughter is just almost grown, but they still have the other kids are younger.
Like I said, they just split within like the last 5 years. So whatever relationships or situations they in now, I don't know if if anything fishy about it. It's just sometimes people grow apart.
Tito says, what's your thoughts on the Puffy verdict? It's 4 years fair. They had to know they wasn't walking out the courtroom with Diddy in there. Well, first of all, it's not 4 years that he's going to be doing, because you also have to take into account time served already. He's been locked up for about almost a year and a half now, something like that.
A little,
How long
over a
did he-
year.
little over a year now. He's been locked up, so that's all gonna count as time served. And then he's gonna wind up doing like a boot camp and a halfway house after that. So I mean, he may spend another year in jail, and then he'll be home realistically. So it's not really 4 years. Um, I feel like I would have been okay if he had got time served for the crimes that he had got convicted of. I would have been okay with that because really it's just a lot of freaky deaky amongst consenting adults.
A lot of freaky deaky. That's gonna be the name of this episode. A lot of freaky deaky.
That's what it is, though. Really, just a lot of freaky deaky amongst consenting adults. That's really how I look at it. Like listen. Even though I personally haven't flown anybody out from like across the country or anything like that, but that's just not where my budget was at the time to be wasting money flying girls out. But I have paid for an Uber or two. I will say that it's not, it's not flying them out, but I'm just saying. And a lot of the stuff they was into now, even though I'm not into, having guys come in and have sex with my lady and things like that. But listen, you freaky deaky. I don't think it warranted all the extra time that he got, even though again, there's not really, a lot in the grand scheme of things. But I just feel like for what he was convicted of, time served would have been okay.
He should have got time served. We talk a lot about money and influence and how it can affect you, but sometimes it could be a negative. And this is one of the situations. If his name was James Johnson and he was just a local businessman, he wouldn't have gotten the 50 months because what he's been convicted of is prostitution.
Yeah.
And in most cases, you don't get 4 years for prostitution, especially not if you've already got a year. Right. So let's keep in mind, you got to separate how you feel about Puffy, how you feel about him as an individual, and whether he's a piece of what, an abuser, all those things, because that's not what he was on trial for.
Yeah.
The charge from the beginning was whack because it was not a RICO, and we learned it was never a RICO because, as I've said all along, who were the co-conspirators? He should have had co-defendants. A RICO is a criminal organization. You can't have a one-man RICO. So the federal government never proved it was a RICO. That's first. Secondly, they gave immunity to Cassie, who should have been his co-defendant, because Cassie went on the stand and admitted several times that she transported drugs and she was the one contacting the sex workers. So she should have been a co-defendant. She got immunity for that. Yep. All right. Now, he sits in jail for a year before they go to trial. He gets found not guilty of the major charges, and then they still don't let him out while they await his sentencing. Because remember, he got found not guilty back in the summertime. Yeah. He had to wait till October for sentencing. They still wouldn't let him out. Mm-hmm. This is all time served. To me, the jail sentence is excessive, but in terms of when he's going to get out, to Tripp's point, yes. The way the federal system works is he has been in jail, I believe, 13 months. That'll get put up to 15 months time served.
Yeah.
He's already applied to do the drug program, which is smart of him because you can do 9 months of a drug program, but you get credit for 12 months served. So that will knock another year off. So that'll already put you at almost 2.5 years by the time he finishes the drug program in early 2026. With good behavior, federal time, you got to serve at least 80% of the sentence. So you're looking at a possibility of him probably being out by the end of 2026 with no issues, no hiccups, nothing else coming up. He does a drug program. He quote unquote keeps his nose clean. By the end of 2026, he'll probably have a legit opportunity to be coming out. So we're looking at him probably being in jail for at least another year.
Yeah, and Pooh says, Trip, so you don't think he deserved any prison time? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he's already been in jail for 13 months. So
additional
he's already
prison time, right?
Yeah, he's already serving. So I would have been, but based off of what he was convicted of, I would have been okay with him serving the 13 months. Even the time now with the little extra, them taking this long to come up, to have the sentencing and all of that. You know what I mean? Like, all right, whatever. I would have been okay with that. I get it. You want to try to make an example, but I think it's not really making an example because, again, see, I think one of the things that we forget and we're looking at the Cassie tape and of how he beat Cassie, and the way our brains work, it's like, oh well, he beat Cassie like that. He should have got 10 years. He's not on trial for beating Cassie. The statute of limitations is already passed for that.
Yep.
So you know what I mean. So that's the problem when we look at. So now when you look at the time that he received, and the time that he's already served, and I think for someone who understands and has dealt with people who have been incarcerated, and and have friends and family members that have been in the system and understands that, and then when you look at the actual charges and what he was convicted of, it's like, what, all right, whatever. He did pay for some sex. He was trafficking some little bit of drugs and whatnot, sex parties. All right, he got to do some time. You know what I'm saying? 13 months. You gonna pay a bunch of money. You done already defamed the man. He gonna, you know what I mean? Like, so for that, I'm okay with. If that, you telling me, all right, he got 15 months for having a consensual sex with a bunch of adults that involve some drugs and prostitutes. All right, but I would have been okay with him just doing the 13 months and coming home for that.
Yeah, Pooh, to say did he deserve any prison time? Well, I mean, again, consider he's already been sitting in a cell for a year. And this was the federal government feeling embarrassed that they weren't able to get him on some of the larger charges. So now they're holding him and they're trying to maximize how long he sits in a prison cell. I also think it was super corny that the news broke that, his team was working on getting him some speaking engagements when he got out of prison. There was a backlash about that. And I don't think there should have been any backlash about that, because any inmate, anybody who served time coming home will tell you that one of the things you have to already line up is where you're going to stay and what you're going to do for work. You can't just be wandering the streets with no purpose. So him working on speaking engagements is doing what he knows and what's the easiest way to get a check for the time being. Because right now he is untouchable in the business world. A lot of people aren't going to mess with him in the business world until, you kind of create some distance between the crimes he was committed of, what we saw on tape, like Trip just mentioned, and the overall perception of Sean Combs. He got to do something to continue the income coming in. But he's already served a year. How much more time should he serve for prostitution? Especially when you consider he didn't engage in any of the sexual acts with the prostitutes.
Yeah, I mean, technically, he didn't. So, yeah, it's like, yo, you think about that in addition.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute. You know what?
He didn't engage in any of the sexual acts. All that the sex workers said, he never engaged. He just watched.
Yeah. So basically, he's watching porn. It's just loud.
Right. And I think also one of the things that gets lost in all this too, Jane Doe, who we know is 50 Cent's baby mother, right? Daphne Joy. Mm-hmm. She said, when I told Puff I no longer wanted to participate, he said, all right, cool, but I'm just going to cut your allowance. So then she tried to turn it into, well, I keep getting the allowance. Oh, so you made a decision.
Yeah.
Right? Cassie never brought up criminal charges on Sean Combs.
Nope.
She chose civil. She got a check for it, which I think is super corny that now when they were going to sentence it, she wrote, oh, I don't feel safe. I feel he's a threat to the community. So was he a threat to the community all these years, but he was still out after you got your check? Because when you got your check, he was a free man. You never seek criminal charges. So you weren't scared enough to go to the police and seek criminal charges. You went and got the check instead.
Yeah, listen. And I'll end this by saying this. Do I still believe that Puff's ignorance led to Big's death? Yes.
Absolutely.
But this has nothing to do with that. And we have to base the charges and the punishment off of that and not how we feel about him for anything that he's not on trial for, which includes the hotel incident with Cassie, which includes any disdain we might have with him about one of the greatest rappers to ever stand foot on this earth not being here anymore. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Hold on. Will says, if getting chicks flued out is trafficking, then I've been in bumper to bumper LADC New York equivalents. I live in the middle of nowhere.
And Will ain't lying. But that's a fact, Will. That's the part of this that people didn't understand. Because when you say sex trafficking, that's one of them shock statements. People assuming that you grabbing people up and zip tying them in the back of a van.
Yeah, kids getting kidnapped.
Yeah, kids getting kidnapped and sold off.
This is adults that are consenting.
Right. The sex trafficking by the letter of the law is any time you bring someone across state lines for the purpose of sex. So, like we use it, Trip and I used the example before. If we down if we down in Atlanta and we meet two joints out there, and nothing ain't got to pop off in Atlanta. We might just meet them, stay in touch with them. Yo, y'all should come up to New York, come hang out with us. They come up to New York. We take them out to eat, have some drinks. We go get a nightcap. The night goes well. Mm-hmm. Guess what? We just sex trafficked two women because we brought them across state lines with the intention of knowing we plan on capping things off, on finishing the deal.
Yeah.
That is sex trafficking by the letter of the law.
That's why, you know what? And that I'm about to shout Diddy out on this because now I have an excuse not to fly nobody out when they try to hit me for the plane. I say, hey, whoa, that's Fed charges, baby. I can't do that. I can't.
Listen,
fly
ladies, a lot of y'all is sex trafficking yourselves because a lot of y'all's out here saying a man gotta pay for this dinner. He gotta take me shopping. That's sex trafficking. He paid for it.
Yeah, and I'm not doing none of that. You can't do that.
We can't do that.
I wasn't gonna do it before, but now I got this.
Yeah, now the legalities, and you know what I'm saying, because then 20 years from now they try to come up with a documentary on you, Trip.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying, and then they try to slander your name. I can't do it. Can't happen.
I can't be involved in nothing like that. Before we get up out of here, there is a versus that has been announced that is going down. I believe it was October 25th, if I am not mistaken. Let me just October 25th. For all of my people that you know have a love for hip hop and southern rap music, and two of the most iconic factors in music from the South will be involved in the verses. Cash Money and No Limit Records. I just want to say I'm going to sit back and enjoy this versus because both of those organizations have put out some of the best music, some of the most known music, you know, just like, so I'm really excited about this. I hope all of the hot boys are there, you know, because I know there was an issue they was having with the Turk, but I hope all of the hot boys can go. Oh, No Limit family can go. I'm looking forward to this versus.
I think this is going to be a classic. I think this is going to be one of the best ones. It's going to be right up there with that Dipset Locks one because this is also taking place on a stage with the whole crew. So the sound is going to be right. It's going to be an opportunity to enjoy an at-home concert. Unless you're in Vegas, this is truly going to be one of the legendary at-home concerts. Cash Money, No Limit, and like you said, I hope they bring everybody out. I need the whole crew there. I need the whole Out Boys there. I need the whole No Limit there. And make the best team win. And what we learned from the Locks is performance sometimes can outweigh the hits, right? Cash Money might have the bigger hits, but if No Limit come with that energy and that performance, they might have a chance to score the upset.
And that's the thing too, like, you know, because again, you know, No Limit came first, but No Limit produced a lot of hits. And this is not, you get up there and you got to run through every record from every album. This is you narrowing it down to 20. And if we're narrowing it down to 20 verse 20, guess what? No Limit got some bangers.
No Limit got bangers. Like I said, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like Snoop got to show up.
Listen, if Snoop come through, listen, Master P.
No Limit might have a little bit of a cheek. Well, I mean, it could go both ways. I'll tell you this.
No, they might call Cam up because you know Cam and them is in Vegas.
They doing about it.
They might if they do the remix. Can't, like, you know what I'm saying? So this is going to be a really good one. I think everybody is going to enjoy this one. It's going to be another classic versus. So
yeah, this is going to be one of the great ones. Like I said, this is going to be on par with Dipset and Locks.
yep, I agree. All right, Eric, give me a final thought, man.
As always, shout out to the supporters. We greatly appreciate you guys for locking in with us and being patient. We normally, record on a Monday. We are on a Tuesday. You're still rocking with us, so we definitely appreciate you guys, the love and support. Rock with us tomorrow night as well, 7:30 p.m. TripYung, Will Gordon, myself. We got the picks for week 6. I know some of these same questions are going to circle back because people want to get Will Gordon's thoughts on Aisha Curry, so I'm sure we'll get back to that as well. And I want to let off by saying this, man. We are primarily a sports show, so we got to talk about it. There was an unfortunate situation that's played out through the media over the last few months, really dating back to around NFL draft, and that's Kyron Lacy, the young man from LSU who took his life. At the time, it was being speculated that he was being investigated for vehicular manslaughter, that he was basically the reason for a car accident that took someone's life. And there was recently a lawyer down there in Louisiana who's come out, who's fighting on his behalf and came out with proof that showed he wasn't close enough to cause the accident and he should not have been the center of that investigation. The media too often recklessly covers some of these stories. And it's one of the reasons that Trip and I always say we want to let the details play out before we make a decision on any of these stories, because too often the shock value and the clickbait of it will have you thinking and going one way when it's not that. This Kyron Lacy situation is a prime example of that. And I hope that we learn from this and understand too often we can't run with these social media narratives. We can't run with the first story that's printed, because that young man was under a lot of pressure. He saw his dream of playing in the NFL fading away. Who knows what else was going on in his life, and he took his own life. It's unfortunate, and it's sad, and it sucks that here we are months later, we find out the truth, that he was not at the center of that crash, that he would not have been convicted of that. And more importantly, not only him taking his life, but his NFL dreams went away that day as well. That's a very unfortunate situation, and we got to stop being so quick to rush to judgment and rush with the first story that comes out. That's my final thought, Trip.
I agree. Let me just throw this last comment up by Will. Will said No Limit was waiting on cats to come home. I bet they was. They definitely had a lot of cats that was behind.
They got Mystical?
I don't know about that.
I don't think he home though. I don't think he home.
Yeah, which sucks because Mystical got a couple of them their biggest records. So it's just like, but he got different type of cases. So we ain't gonna get into that right now. It is what it is. My final thought is just gonna be thank you. We truly appreciate you guys every week being here with us, whether we go on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever the day is. You guys continue to support us. You guys continue to hit us up on the air and off the air, just showing us love and support. So I just really want to make sure we always pay that back to you guys and let you know that we truly appreciate you guys and all the support over the years that you guys have given us. With that being said, for myself, TripYung, my brother, Eric Sanchez, a.k.a. Legend in 2 Games. Oh, hold up. Make sure you follow us on all our social media. Instagram, Twitter, @RealFanTalk, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk. And of course, subscribe to that YouTube channel, YouTube.com/For the Fans Production. And if you're not in New York on Thursday nights and you can't watch us on Horizon 43, BPN 2, from 8 to 9 p.m., don't worry. You can watch from anywhere in the world. Just go to that website, click the red button on the homepage, and you can watch on Thursday nights. And make sure you subscribe to the 2 best podcasts moving. Of course, that's the Real Fans Real Talk and the Sanchez Show podcast. And be ready tomorrow night because we got a lot of football to get to. With that being said, for myself, TripYung, my brother, Eric Sanchez, a.k.a. Legend in 2 Games, we up out of here. Peace.
See y'all tomorrow night.